I don't know where I put it.
Just pick it up over here. Pick it up over here and then
Bring this down to where it's like with 6 inches of your mouth. Where are you going to be?
Right here.
Okay, so let's put you about right there. And then straight into it.
Okay. And I'm going to watch you.
that worked.
Yeah.
You know,
Tom.
that sounded like you said, I'm going to whack you, is what it sounded like.
Oops.
Oops, that's oops is all over the
Do y'all need anything from me?
No.
Okay.
And I have to pause.
You just step away from the microphone.
I got to pause.
Okay, fine.
After Ryan plays, I have to pause
Yes.
while they do their thing.
Don't worry.
Make sure my phone is silent.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, everybody. Okay, what we're doing this morning is we're having the hymn number 407 in the gray hymnal. The choir is going to whatever that word is. They're going to walk in singing the song, and we'd like you to stand up if you can and sing with us because it's a great song, okay? All right.
Welcome
Good morning. My name is Jackie. My pronouns are she and her, and I will be your worship associate today for this service of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Charlotte County. I describe myself as having short hair with blonde highlights. Today I'm wearing a pink blouse and I have a skirt that has flamingos on it, just like at the door. This morning we're going to do something different. We usually take the first Sunday in September to clean this building inside and out. Well, look at the sanctuary. It is beautiful. And it's really too hot to work outside. So here we are. Before we begin this service, please note that this service is being broadcast live on YouTube and will be available as a recording on the UUFCC YouTube channel after the service. Your patience will be appreciated as there is a slight delay at the end to close down the YouTube connection. For those of you joining us virtually, you may wish to have a chalice or candle available for our chalice lighting ritual. Now, I would like to take this opportunity to express my gratitude to the following. For Tom and Corey for the technology this morning, and I appreciate their telling me what I need to do and not do. For Laura L., Sue B., and Cheryl B., who have shared their creativity in decorating the sanctuary, which makes this physical space a joy to behold. It's beautiful. Wow. Our membership committee and greeters, and our office team, Mary Jane and Sandy. The kitchen volunteers and those who brought goodies. To Ryan, to Janet, and our choir for our music today, and to our speaker today, Dennis. UUFCC is a lay-led based fellowship, a liberal religious community committed to diversity and social justice. We are a place where spirituality, reason, compassion, service, and fellowship meet. Whatever your faith or belief or the country of your heritage, you are welcome here. Whoever you are and whomever you love, you are welcome here. And whether you entered by walking in briskly, ambled in, or rolled in, you are welcome here. If you are new here, please stand or wave and state your first name and where you're from so that we can welcome you. Hi, Becky.
My name is Becky, and I am originally a UU person from Reston, Virginia, where I lived for 27 years before I moved here to Florida. I'm a full-time resident in Punta Gorda.
Welcome, Becky. If you're new here and watching us virtually, you can't see me wave, but I'm waving. But we welcome you too. We are glad you've chosen to spend your time with us this morning. If you would like to learn more about our fellowship, ask one of the people who met you this morning, or you can visit our website or email at office@uufcc.org. We will now open this sacred space by turning our attention to the chalice through the words from Albert Schweitzer. At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us. Now, while Shelley is lighting our chalice here in the sanctuary, and the people at home can be lighting yours, please join me in reciting our affirmation. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service is its law. Peace, to see truth and love, and to help one another. Now we'll have the prelude by Ryan. Thank you, Ryan. That was beautiful. Now, our opening words are from Reverend David Breeden, and it's a theology of welcome. Let's be the welcome we crave, open hearts, arms outstretched. Let's embody radical welcome, unquestioning love. Let's be the welcome we crave, deeply hearing voices and hearts. Let's be the welcome we crave, enriching, understanding. Let us embody the community we crave. We have a long tradition at UUFCC of sharing our joys, sorrows, and life milestones by entering them into the Book of Life. These messages can be written in the red book at the back of the sanctuary. Well, let's see, who can I pick on today? John? Will you please bring the Book of Life up? Thank you. Those at home are welcome to email your entries to bookoflife@uufcc.org. Messages should be sent no later than Saturday prior to the service.
You really should be alive to bring this book up, but oh well.
All right. All entries will be read by the worship associate on Sunday morning. The emailed messages will be entered into the actual red book. After I completed reading, we will enter into a moment of silence. Let's see, I think we have some answers. All right, here we go. Okay, this morning. Alan, proud to announce the adoption of a dog, Giovanni, and Sue B. helped. Wow, congratulations. Woo! And Roxanne is in Short Point Hospital. She's developed pneumonia after a gallbladder surgery. Healing wishes and prayers are appreciated. Sign the card in the social hall. We also have a joy, and this joy is, it's Lori and I are celebrating our 38th wedding anniversary this Tuesday. Oh, and please remember all those that have been affected by the hurricane. And I also want to mention that I've heard that we have some four-legged friends that need our prayers and our thoughts. And we need prayers and thoughts for Dennis and for Bosco. And I heard there's this from Shelley, that she has a friend or a daughter that has a dog that is sick. So keep them in your prayers also, because they're part of our family. Now we'll take a few minutes for meditation, and I'll bring you back. I'm going to try ringing the bowl. Here we go. Oh, well, I rang something. Good heavens. I don't ring well, okay? May we hold all these and other unspoken joys and sorrows in our hearts. May we also hold one another in love and tenderness, so that this fellowship may be a source of strength and comfort, courage and hope in the days and weeks ahead. And now we get to hear Dennis.
Good morning. Good morning. For numerous years prior to the COVID pandemic, as Jackie mentioned earlier, members and friends of UUFCC had a special way of celebrating Labor Day. On the Sunday morning closest to the holiday, instead of participating in a traditional worship service, we gathered to work on our building. The earliest notes I could find describing our cleaning service were from 2015. On that occasion, 60 members and friends dressed in work clothes and carrying buckets and rags and cleaning supplies, washed every window inside and out, cleared out and rearranged the gardening shed, pressure washed the walkways, disinfected all the nursery toys, and wiped and organized the kitchen cabinets and refrigerator. Following work, everyone came together for a potluck lunch and socializing. In 2016, the folks that volunteered to clean up after the potluck decided that cleaning the kitchen 2 times in one morning was just downright silly. So the next year, we were instructed to bring bagged lunches and a dessert, a delicious dessert, to share instead of a covered dish. This Labor Day tradition continued through 2019. The following year, due to the COVID pandemic, we were meeting via Zoom. Our Labor Day work service was reinstated last year, but the majority of our efforts were wiped away when Hurricane Ian hit on September 28th. Ian caused over $50,000 damage to this building. And during the remaining months of 2022 and the first 6 months of this year, our precious building became an ongoing labor site. Consequently, our building is pretty clean right now and in good shape. Granted, there's still a lot of yard work that needs to be addressed, but given the ongoing extreme heat and humidity, this is not a good time to tackle that work. However, I do understand that a group is meeting in the front yard after the service to decide what dead vegetation needs to be taken out. So, today, you're certainly not going to need a bucket or a mop. But maybe next year, I really hope that we can return to our tradition, because it's a wonderful time to be together. It's a perfect social interaction. There's lots of laughter and communal experiences that work well for interactions. For several years, our worship committee has been subscribing to a publication entitled Soul Matters. Each month, with the exception of July and August, we receive through these periodicals a theme and inspirations for our worship services and small group discussions. This month's theme is the gift of welcome. Last month's theme, climate change, was selected by the worship committee because, as I mentioned, they don't publish Soul Matters in July and August. August presentations were on climate change, and they were very powerful. They certainly have stimulated in me a strong desire to become more active, a much more active steward of Mother Earth. I self-identify as a Southwest Florida gardener. I didn't have time to garden in my prior to my retirement in education up in North Carolina. So my first digging occurred in sandy, nutritionally deficient soil. Quickly, I learned how to enrich my soil without fertilizers and select plants that are native to this area. I love to play in the dirt. But due to restrictions from 3 skin cancer surgeries this summer and the horribly uncomfortable temperatures, plus a hurricane, the time I've spent working in my yard has been severely curtailed. I attribute my summer-long depression on a lack of outdoor playtime. I have to confess that I had a very difficult time welcoming the changes that this summer manifested. Then I found the following words from Buddhist teacher Pemba Kodron. His message teaches that welcoming the unwelcome is spiritual, even holy work. I'll read that again. His message teaches that welcoming the unwelcome is spiritual, even holy work. He wrote, accepting something isn't the same as liking it. To accept feeling that we habitually associate with discomfort doesn't mean we immediately turn around and start enjoying it. It means being okay with it as part of the texture of human life. Over my 74 years, I have experienced many changes that have blossomed into blessings. But like blossoms, some of these wilted, and some even morphed into curses. In 1958, at age 9, I consciously learned that change takes many forms, and even the finest gifts can backfire. This is a story of how this insight about change occurred. While returning from my family's weekly grocery shopping trip, our 1953 two-tone white over blue Chevy Bel Air dropped its transmission on the heavily traveled Route 51, which was the major artery from Elizabeth to Pittsburgh. I still remember the fear I experienced as my 4 brothers and I squeezed together in the back seat as nonstop traffic sped by. My anxiety peaked when my father left us in the broken down car on the side of the highway as he played hit and miss across 4 lanes in search of a telephone. Finally, after dark, our neighbor Ed pulled up behind the dead Chevy in his old Ford pickup truck. When my brothers and I realized that we were going to ride along with our groceries in the truck's bed, the atmosphere radically changed. We welcomed this exciting adventure. The next morning, Dad made arrangements to have the Chevy towed, not to the Chevy, but the Ford garage. Early that afternoon, he returned in a brand new dark green Ford ranch wagon. It was my family's first new car, and we were so excited. We spent the rest of the afternoon touring and proudly introducing our new acquisition to friends. 2 days after the arrival of the car, a strong summer thunderstorm blew in, and a gigantic limb broke off of an oak tree and landed on the station wagon's hood and roof. The whole family stood at the kitchen door and cried. As I wrote these reflections on welcoming the gift of change, I spent considerable time looking for a definition of change that clearly conveys my message. I searched in 3 dictionaries and had a long exchange with Siri. I discovered that the word change has at least 30 very different meanings. For example, we change our clothes, we change our beds, we substitute change when we're cooking, we substitute ingredients while we're cooking. And prior to buying things with those little plastic cards that we all use, change used to be part of almost every transaction. We change trains, buses, and planes, and the list goes on and on and on. but none of these definitions captured the meaning that I was seeking. Finally, I found a poem by Manish Mishra Marzetti that clearly communicates the meaning of the change that fits with my intentions. The poem is entitled, "Nothing is Static." Committees dissolve or are created. Leaders retire or step away. Ministers come and go. Bylaws are amended. New experiences lead to new truths, which foster evolution. The natural course of life is always pushing us towards greater understanding of what it means to be human. Everything about our existence points towards change, flexibility, and dynamic recreation. It's hard because change involves loss. Can we hold these losses well while not holding ourselves back? I'm going to repeat that question, and this time I would like you to respond. Can we hold these losses well while not holding ourselves back? Yes? I hope your answer is yes, or we have real problems. The Unitarian Universalist Fellowship is a perfect example of a religious community willing to welcome the gifts of change. Early in August of 1969, Lucille Haight, our founding mother, received a letter from Raymond C. Hawkins of the Unitarian Universalist Association. He wrote to Mrs. Haight to inform her that at the July 13th meeting of the association's board, the Fellowship of Unitarian Universalists accepted the Unitarian Universalists of Port Charlotte, Florida, as its newest congregation. That was 54 years ago. Imagine the changes that have occurred over more than half of a century. I will provide a very brief overview and request that you use these examples to stimulate your own memories about this place. We changed our name from the Fellowship of Unitarian Universalists of Port Charlotte to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Charlotte County. We've grown significantly in numbers, and then we have lost members. Originally, 17 members established the fellowship. Currently, our membership has decreased to about 85. But prior to the pandemic, we had about 135. Without reference to a specific year, try to imagine how many men, women, and children have claimed UUFCC as their religious home over the past 54 years. Think of how many memorial services we have had, how many marriages, how many celebrations. We have had several homes. The first was a brief stay at the General Corporation's Yacht Clubhouse. Next, we were invited to meet at the Temple Shalom. While the Jewish community offered their space for free, we paid rent of $10 per month, and we stayed at the temple for 10 years. In 1977, our fellowship purchased our current 1.8 acres, and the following year, with shovel in hand, Lucille Haight broke the ground to begin construction of this building. Building brought many challenges and changes, including a prolonged battle with the Charlotte County over an ordinance that required that churches must have 2 acres in order to build. During the construction, the roof collapsed. And then we had to build a bridge over Snapper Creek, and that cost $20-some thousand that we didn't think we had. Of course, the money was found, and the building was completed on a very tight budget and was finally ready for occupancy in 1982. We've had 14 ministers over a 43-year span. The first 3 were part-time and retired. We've had 1 ministerial intern, 5 ministers that were interims, and 5 settled ministers. Finally, I must emphasize the changes we've experienced through the creation of our programming. When this fellowship began, the music program was dependent on a record player. Think of the art we have displayed on our walls, the religious education classes that we've held, the support groups that we have offered. Consider the investments we've made in our property. I am constantly thrilled by the social action programs we have supported and sponsored. During just the last year, we have supported a family seeking asylum from very unacceptable conditions in Venezuela. A young mother and her 2 young children are now living in their own home in Northport. Folks suffering from HIV and AIDS have had enough to eat through our efforts with CHAPS. Given this very brief summary of UUFCC's history and accomplishments, I hope it is obvious that we've experienced significant changes over the decades. Some of these changes were wonderful, and as you well know, others were very, very painful. And I can promise you there will be many more as we continue on our liberal religious journey. We and our ancestors have experienced so many changes, as you are about to hear. There are new changes on the horizon. Earlier, I shared how August's services on climate change inspired me to become a better steward of Mother Earth. So at the August 17th Board of Trustee meeting, I suggested that we recreate a climate action task force. The group would focus on things that we can do to make UUFCC a greener sanctuary. Initial suggestions included re-landscaping our front yard and using plants that will attract pollinators and birds and people. The group could re-explore the feasibility of installing solar panels on our roof. The task force could sponsor a highly publicized speaker series on climate action, which the fellowship could host. We could reestablish monthly meatless meals. Using existing climate education curricula, we could offer ongoing religious education classes on climate. And again, these should be highly, highly publicized. We could extend invitations for existing climate action groups to meet here. We could host them in this building. And if we attended their meetings, we could interact with them, and of course, things would expand. We could even fly flags honoring Mother Earth and climate action. After all, we do have a flagpole. After extensive, enthusiastic conversation, and very much to my surprise, a motion was made at the board meeting that the UUFCC board accept the additional responsibility of serving as the climate action team. The motion was seconded and passed unanimously. So in the future, expect to see at least one climate action item on each month's board agenda. And express your gratitude to board members, Laura L., Laura A., Dick S., John L., Sharon W., Betty B., and Robert M. Together on your behalf, we are inviting change. May we always welcome the gift of change and be mindful that we are intersections in the pulsating, infinite, and finite interdependent web of being that is in the constant process of recreation. May we live with the awareness of our inherent connection with all beings in the past, present, and future, and the consciousness that our consciousness will create energy that flows along fragile threads, ultimately transforming the kaleidoscopic design of life. I will close my reflections with the words of Reverend Scott Taylor. His poem is entitled, A First Step Faith. Go with faith, not the kind that is called to move mountains, but the quieter sort that calls us to take the first step even when the whole staircase sits beyond our view. And as we move towards the unseen, may we notice the ways unfold as we risk traveling it. And may we remember and trust that on this journey, we're never alone. Amen. Our next hymn is in the gray hymnal, hymn number 410.
In our tradition, congregations exist because of the generous support of members and friends. It is our privilege and our responsibility to ensure the health and future of this fellowship. To this end, your offerings support the ministry whether by pledge or donation or online. Now, there are several ways you can give. You can drop your donation in the basket that will be passed around. You can mail your checks to the office, drop them in our mailbox, or call the office or make other arrangements. We also use the Venmo app. Payments through this app should be made at UUFCC offering. Your generosity is always appreciated. If you're here with us for the first time, do not feel obligated to give. Your presence is our gift. Ryan will play music while the baskets are being passed. Thank you, Ryan. And thank you for your offering gifts. It's time to do the life of the community. Please read the weekly updates. If you did not receive them, contact Mary Jane or Sandy at the office. These updates are so interesting. And it starts with Mary Jane's musings, which are really, really interesting. We have a geographical group contact information that was sent out a few weeks ago. And we know that some of the group used the information to check in on people close by during the hurricane. Could you raise your hand if you were able to find the information on your group? Hot dog, yay, woo! I'm sorry. If not, or you would like to be added, please call Mary Jane or talk to Lori. Brown Bag is at noon this Wednesday, September 6th. All are welcome. Tea and lemonade will be provided. We have a program council meeting will take place on September 11th at 10:30 through Zoom. The UUFCC Open Art Studio begins Wednesday, December 13th from 1 to 3. Bring your creativity, bring your fun, and join. If you're interested, contact Trudy or Sandy. It sounds like a whole lot of fun. And there's also a field trip to visit Immokalee on Thursday, September 28th. More details are coming. And now Ted would like to make an announcement.
As just noted, the Social Justice Committee is planning a trip to Immokalee on September 28th. We're taking a placard with us carrying a letter of respect, and we hope that you will sign that letter of respect, honoring the achievements of the Immokalee workers people who began at the lowest level of the supply chain in our food industry, humble people, many immigrants, many not speaking English, over the years have won not only law cases, but have managed to get the boards of 14 multi-billion-dollar corporations to join the Fair Food Alliance to improve the working conditions and lives of the people at the bottom of the food chain. Who could think that that could be done? So I hope you sign the placard. If you want to come to Immokalee, sign the sign-up sheet so that we know how many to prepare for. And we'll see you there. Thank you.
I think this is funny. I'm doing the closing words, correct? I'm doing the same closing words that Dennis used. I had no idea. Wow. Great minds think alike, right? So you're going to get to hear it again. Okay, it's the first step by Reverend Scott Taylor on welcoming change. Dennis, remember? Go with faith, not the kind that is called to move mountains, but the quieter sort that calls us to take the first step, even when the whole staircase is beyond our view. And as we move toward the unseen, may we notice that the way unfolds only as we risk traveling it. And may we remember and trust that on this journey we are never alone. Amen. As Shelley extinguishes the chalice, please join me in reading the words in the order of service. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of hope, the fire of commitment, or the warmth of community. May these ideals shine in our lives and warm our hearts until we are together again. Go now in peace. Please rise and body your spirit and join the choir in singing our closing hymn, number 6 in the gray hymnal, Just as Long as I Have Breath. Please join us for refreshments and conversations. And remember to turn your phones back on. I don't usually do that, but, yeah, please. Remember, rise and body.
Yeah, that's a different message, isn't it? You tell me. I did. Can't. I did. I was. Can't. I did. 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 Reading lessons to everybody in the specific.
You were fantastic, thank you. Oh, I like that.